So, red wine, High Kick King. Do you get it?
Fredrik wine too. I don't.
High kicking?
Oh my god.
Really?
It's so dense.
I'm off camera and I'm just giggling. I can't help myself. Yes, I'm here.
I'm really dumb. I'm so sorry.
No. Actually, it was Peter that pointed it out, and I as well was like, "What are you talking about?" I gave Peter that face because I like to give him that face too.
I feel really stupid right now.
So what High Kick King is all about is Fredrik. And so he has this book called The Cell, which is the first book he ever wrote, and I read it, and he signed it. I was super delighted that he signed it. And he believes that every person should have a signature move that you're known by. And he came up with a Mr. Miyagi, Daniel-san style kick that is called the high kick. And he is truly the king of it.
That's a signature move.
That's a signature move. He does it in business, he does it on his television show, he does it when he's super happy, and it's just a way that he gets to show the world like how excited and happy he is to be alive every day and do wonderful things. I am not quite sure.
Okay.
But it might not be ready for camera yet. So that's what High Kicking is all about. And for him, I think people that follow him know that he's like truly, truly obsessed with rosé. But his favorite part of Italy is northern Italy, and he has these stories of waking up super, super early, little espresso, walking through the vineyard, picking red grapes, and he knew that he was going to make, a red wine in the Veneto area, and that's what this wine was all about, and and that's kind of why, so for him this is kind of like his signature red wine, encapsulating all of the favorite things that he loves, like chocolate and coffee, tobacco flavor. So I'll be curious if you get any of that from this. But that's kind of where this red wine came from, the story around it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he would have been remiss had he not made a red wine from the Veneto, because those are the wines that they're most famous for. Italy has what in my mind is the greatest red wine culture on earth. And each region has their red wine, not each one, but some of them, have their red wine calling cards. Amarone in the Veneto is the calling card of the region. It's the wine that's most famous historically. It's the wine that is on the same level as Barolo Barbaresco, Brunello di Montalcino, Aglianico. It's like the great wine of the Veneto is this Amarone. From Corvina, which is the base grape of Amarone, they make a few other wines. Valpolicella is made from Corvina, and the other two grapes, Rondinella and Molinara, which is essentially a bistro wine. Valpolicella is an everyday, casual, easygoing wine. Amarone is the opposite. Amarone is made by drying grapes, squeezing those very shriveled dry grapes, extracting what little thick, dense juice you can, and making a wine that is immortal. It's a wine that's powerful and dense and rich and round, and is the quintessential. The Italians have a term for it, vino da meditazione. It's a wine that you don't really want to eat with, you want to meditate with. You want to have it after a meal by itself with some Parmigiano or just nothing at all, some chocolate maybe. Just sit with it around the table and talk about the wine, talk about yourself, talk about other things. But it's not a wine it's the opposite of the High Kick Rosé. It's not a wine for putting on the table and enjoying, it's a wine for really contemplating. And they have this term, the vino da meditazione, and Amarone is like a quintessential example. This is a wine that's kind of in both camps, because it has the same sort of, and I say this in a good way, over-mature aromatics of grapes that have dried a little on the vine, that have been picked late. And that's where you get that chocolate, that tobacco, that kind of like really sort of intoxicating warm spice thing. But then there's some freshness. There's like some regular wine in there. Not bad, but good. There's some wine that you don't need to necessarily, it doesn't need to be a meditation wine. It can be a table wine as well. So what he's emulating here, I think, and I'd have to ask him directly, is an intermediary space, a purgatory wine of the Veneto, which is called Ripasso.
Okay.
And so they're using the Amarone must, the skins and stuff from the making the Amarone, and they're using it they're passing the Valpolicella over it, the ripasso, they're repassing it. And they're making this wine that's kind of in between. And that's exactly what this reminds me of.
Okay.
So this is a blend of Corvina, but then there's also Merlot to give it kind of some friendliness. And that is where I think he's arrived at this beautiful midpoint. You have a little bit of not a little bit, there's a significant bit of this chocolatey, kind of really dense, intense, deep, masculine kind of library sort of aromas. But then there's this fruit, which makes it easy to drink, and it doesn't. You want more than just one sip. You want more than one glass. So yeah, I think that's kind of what's going on here.
Okay.
Let's walk through it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Corvina is specifically from that region?
Yes, indigenous Italian variety, and they're making it. I'm sorry, indigenous Venetian variety. It's from this place, and they usually blend it with Molinara and Rondinella, two other indigenous varieties. But in this case, you're taking Corvina, blending it with Merlot.
Cool. Because this one is dark, like very dark.
Oh, it's dark,
yeah.
and it smells dark.
It does.
It smells deep. It's like it's a wine you're like diving into the glass.
Yeah.
You know? And you get all those bitter, kind of dark chocolate, some tobacco, like some really kind of black plum, dried prune almost quality, you know? Some really oaky kind of libraries by old books. It smells good. It smells desserty, but in a very positive way. You know. Sorry, I'm such a noisy drinker. And I think in the mouth is where you see the Merlot. In the mouth's where you see like this plummy kind of like bright juiciness. You know, it's like there's acidity, there's some freshness.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste nearly as heavy as it smells.
Exactly.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
Because you're smelling, you're like, whoa. And then you drink it, you're like, oh, yeah, I want another sip.
Yeah. So then, I mean, what would you pair this with?
Because it's a bridge wine, I think the pairings can be sort of bridge pairings. I would never, ever serve this in the beginning of a meal.
Okay.
I would never serve it with light food. I would stay away from it with fish. But I would definitely serve it with beef. I would definitely serve it with lamb. I hate to say it, but the Venetians eat a lot of horse. So
Okay.
you could, if you have some horse on your menu, you could
As long
serve
as
it
there's
with
not a horse head in my bed, that's okay. Is this a wine you have to have with food, you don't drink it alone?
Well, I think you could, because like like I said, there's enough complexity and interest and aromatic depth from the dried grapes, but then there's enough juiciness and ease from the Merlot to kind of give it. You could drink it by itself and be totally like I'd be happy with a couple glasses of this, no problem. I would say, in my opinion, if I was looking at this collection as kind of a whole, I would probably serve the rosé as an aperitif.
Oh.
I'd serve my sparkling as my fish wine.
Okay.
I'd serve my Frère Brunel as my meat wine, and then I'd serve this at the end with a little bit of chocolate or Parmesan.
Oh, interesting.
Just as
I
kind
like
of like a way to just mix it up a little bit and kind of challenge people a little bit.
Yeah.
Because then you can really talk about all these cool things like the meditation wines and this with some chunks of Parmesan, some balsamic drizzle over it. They're really, really tasty.
Yeah, that sounds really great. And so one other thing, Peter was mentioning just the shape of the bottle, so we'll just talk about it as well. So for Fredrik personally, wanting to make wine for the first time and have it have a real impact from the name to the branding, obviously spent a ton of time in a label. He spent the most amount of time designing the bottle, like Chateau Miraval, which is a very distinctive and bottle that when you say that name, you kind of know what it looks like. He was looking for something like that. I was always curious, I could probably understand it with rosé. Does red wine taste different because it's in a bottle like this, or does it matter?
No.
It doesn't matter?
Not
The
at
shape of the bottle doesn't matter at
all.
all?
No.
Oh, that's so
Not
interesting.
one little tiny bit. I may be totally wrong, but in my personal experience, not one little tiny bit.
Okay.
The only the bottle shape is practical for a reason, and actually, his bottle shape is practical because it has a shoulder.
Okay.
So if you think about the difference between this and this, this one is this is not a Bordeaux bottle, but Bordeaux bottles have shoulders. Like the regular classic wine bottle you've seen has this little shoulder, and a Burgundy bottle doesn't have a shoulder. There's a historical reason for that, which is that wines that are made in Bordeaux tend to have a lot of tannins and pigments that precipitate out into sediment. And a shoulder enables you to pour a wine and catch some of the sediment in the shoulder. And a Burgundy bottle doesn't have that.
I see.
Because Burgundy bottles don't throw a lot of sediment. So there's a reason for that. And actually, I think this wine, if you were to age it, it would probably throw some sediment.
Okay.
So his instinct was correct to have a little bit of shoulder.
Oh, that's so interesting. I wonder if he knows that.
Probably.
We'll find out. Yes.
Anyway,
cool.
but I would experiment. You know, like these wines are fun. They should be played with.
Yeah.
And you should consider what you're serving, consider what you want, how you want to enjoy them yourself, whether you insist on sparkling to start, which is totally cool. Do the sparkling to start, and then do the rosé with something else, and try to figure out what's tasty and good for you. And I just totally encourage people to play with wine.
Yeah.
There's no rules.
Yeah, no, I like that, and I'm super excited about the February collection because, like I said, it's two of my favorite wines in our portfolio that we've ever had, and then two new wines from one of my favorite people that we've ever worked with, and so I think I'm sounding like this is getting a high marks in general as a collection and as a theme. Yeah, and I think people really have a lot of fun with this
Cool.
in February.
I hope you guys do too. Cheers.
Yes, cheers.
Cheers.